This is the Sri Lanka Broadcasting Corporation.
(6:15). This is the Sri Lanka Broadcasting Corporation. The news edited by Catherine Pereira and read by Lavani Vijayatunga. First, we take a look at the headlines. The Tamil Nadu government provides humanitarian assistance to Sri Lanka. China donates the first consignment of medicinal items valued at $28 million. A ship carrying 2,500 metric tons of gas will arrive in the island tomorrow. Vellavatha police commences investigations into the suicide incident of a soldier. In news overseas, hungry Africans are victims of the conflict, Makiswal says Vladimir Putin. Those were the headlines, and now we move on to the details of the local news. Sri Lanka's High Commissioner to India, Milinda Moragoda, paid a courtesy call on the Chief Minister of Tamil Nadu, M.K. Stalin, this morning at the Chief Minister's office in Chennai. The Chief Secretary of the Tamil Nadu government, Urai Anbu, and several other key state officials were present at the meeting, the Sri Lankan High Commission in New Delhi said in a statement. The courtesy call on the Chief Minister of Tamil Nadu by the High Commissioner came as a part of the latter's plan to expand Sri Lanka's footprint at state level to promote greater interactions between Sri Lanka and the states of the Indian Union as stipulated in his policy roadmap, the Integrated Country Strategy for Sri Lankan Diplomatic Missions in India. At the outset, the Chief Minister extended a warm welcome to the High Commissioner of Sri Lanka. During a very cordial discussion that followed, the High Commissioner thanked the Chief Minister and the people of Tamil Nadu for the humanitarian assistance worth of 2 billion rupees that they had recently extended to Sri Lanka to help it manage the current economic crisis. In response, Chief Minister Stalin observed that he was concerned with the situation in Sri Lanka and had made arrangements to immediately dispatch the first shipment of essential commodities. He added that a second shipment is also in line to be dispatched and that a few more shipments are expected. The first consignment of syringes of the life-saving Enoxaphene sodium injection valued at $28 million donated by China arrived in the island last night. The consignment includes essential varieties of medicinal items. Chinese Ambassador Xi Hongkou and Sri Lankan Minister of Health Kelly Rambukwala received the donation at the airport. Love's Gas Company says a ship carrying 3,500 metric tons of gas will reach the country today. The company said those gas stocks will be distributed in the Western Province from Monday. Meanwhile, Litro Gas Company said a ship carrying 2,500 metric tons of gas will arrive tomorrow and thereafter they will commence distribution. However, Litro Gas Company said that they would not distribute gas today and tomorrow. This is the news from the Sri Lanka Broadcasting Corporation.
The medical insurance plan that begins at the age of 60. Medi60 from Sri Lanka Insurance.
And we continue with more local news. Police say an army soldier who was on duty guarding the house of TNA parliamentarian M.A. Sumandiran has committed suicide. Police media spokesman SSB Nihal Thalduwa said the soldier has shot himself with his official firearm around 7:30 this morning at a land adjacent to the MP's house in Vellavatha. The deceased has been identified as a 22-year-old soldier residing in the Valapane area. The reason for the suicide has not yet been revealed. Vellavatha police have commenced investigations into the incident. Media spokesman of the Immigration and Immigration Department, P. Pumi Bandara says that the demand of visa applications has reportedly increased from the month of April. The department is expecting the demand for visa applications will increase up to 100,000. She also stated that the number of applications issued daily through the one-day service has exceeded 2,500. And to conclude the local news, the headlines once again. The Tamil Nadu government provides humanitarian assistance to Sri Lanka. China donates the first consignment of medicinal items valued at $28 million. A ship carrying 2,500 metric tons of gas will arrive in the island tomorrow. Valawatha police commences investigations into the suicide incident of a soldier. And that was the local news.
The medical insurance plan that begins at the age of 60. Medi60 from Sri Lanka Insurance. A health insurance plan to honor our most valued elders by the protectors of the nation. We now give our treasured senior citizens access to the very best medical insurance, specially tailored for anyone over 60. What's more, you don't need medical screening to access this policy. And Medi60 covers a wide range of illnesses. Only from Sri Lanka Insurance. Call 0112 357 357.
The main news story is brought to you by Siddhalepa Vedamahatmya.
The main news story for this evening, a meeting between the Elections Commissioner and the secretaries of the political parties will take place on Monday. Chairman of the Commission, Nimal Pujiheva, said that discussions will be held on the changes to the elections law. He said party secretaries will be briefed on registering those who have reached 18 years of age on the electoral register. And that was the main news story.
The main news story was brought to you by Siddhalepa Vedamahatmya.
In Washla this evening, the National Water Supply and Drainage Board says that the water supply for parts of the Kotte Municipal Council area will be suspended for 7 hours tonight. Accordingly, Athol Kotte, Pitakotte, Beddegana, Mirihana, Madiwala, Talapathpitiya, Udahamulla, Ambuldaniya, Nugegoda, Pagoda, Vijayarama areas and the roads from Nugegoda Junction to the Open University in Navala will be affected by this water cut. From that, we move on to the headlines of the world news. Hungry Africans are the victims of the conflict, Macky tells Vladimir Putin. China tightens security around Tiananmen Square 33 years after the crackdown. 14 million Ukrainians flee homes amid conflict. Those are the headlines, and now more to the details of the world news. African countries are the innocent victims of the war in Ukraine, and Russia should help to ease their suffering, the head of the African Union has told Vladimir Putin in a meeting in Russia. After talks in Sochi, Macky Sall said the Russian leader has promised to ease the export of cereals and fertilizer, but gave no details. Mr. Putin denied Moscow of preventing Ukrainian exports from exporting grain. Over 40% of the wheat consumed in Africa usually comes from Russia and Ukraine. But Ukraine's ports in the Black Sea have been largely blocked for exports since the conflict began. Chinese authorities have tightened security around Tiananmen Square in Beijing as today marked the 33rd anniversary of the military crackdown on pro-democracy demonstrators. On June 4th, 1989, Chinese troops opened fire on students and others who gathered in and around the square in demand for democracy. The incident resulted in a large number of casualties. The Chinese authorities maintain that they made the right decision in responding to the protests. In a historical resolution adopted last year, the Chinese Communist Party referred to the incident as a turmoil. The United Nations estimate that nearly 14 million Ukrainians have been forced to flee their homes due to the Russia-Ukraine conflict, the government-run news agency reported today. According to a statement by Amin Awad, Assistant Secretary General and the United Nations Crisis Coordinator for Ukraine, most of those who displaced are women and children. The conflict has left 15.7 million Ukrainians in need of humanitarian support, with some of them lacking access to water and electricity, the statement said. And to conclude the world news, the headlines once again. Hungry Africans are the victims of the conflict, Macky Sall tells Vladimir Putin. China tightens security in and around Tiananmen Square 33 years after crackdown. 14 million Ukrainians flee homes amid conflict. And that concludes the world news, and now we move on to development news. The government has paid attention to utilize prison inmates and rehabilitated individuals for cultivation activities. This program has already been initiated in the Kandakadu area successfully. Minister Mahida Amaravira said that this program will enhance their livelihood. And that came to you in the segment of development news.
Sports news is brought to you by
Sampath Bank. We present your future.
Moving on to sports news, Sri Lankan cricket series between Australia and Australia A team will commence on Tuesday. The tickets for the upcoming matches between Sri Lanka and Australia can be purchased from 9:30 a.m. at Sri Lanka Cricket Headquarters at Pallekele International Cricket Stadium from June 8th and at Galle International Cricket Stadium from June 26th. Tickets can also be purchased online at www.srilankacricket.lk. Meanwhile, SLC already decided to open gates free of charge for the Sri Lanka A and Australia A matches. The two ODIs of the A team will be held on June 8th and 10th at the SSC grounds, followed by two 4-day games, that is from June 14th to the 17th, the first, and June 21st to the 24th, the second 4-day game at Mahinda Rajapaksa International Cricket Stadium in Hambantota. That was the sports news. Business news coming up.
Cash through NSP globally and win wonderful gifts locally. From October 1st, 2021 to December 31st, 2022. Remit a minimum of $100 or an equivalent amount in any foreign currency 3 times through NSB U Trust.
Business news sponsored by National Savings Bank, the safest place for your money.
In business news, despite the negative economic sentiments, the Board of Investment approved export companies have brought in an increased revenue of $250 million in the first 3 months of the year 2022 to Sri Lanka. The total revenue earned by the 14 BOI zones and other BOI-related companies last year was around $1,400 million in the first 3 months of last year, and this has increased to around $1,650 million this year. That was the business news, and economic news follows.
Business news sponsored by
Cash through NSP globally and win wonderful gifts locally. Will you be the lucky winner of the NSP Golden Jubilee? 50 gold sovereigns for the top prize winner of the NSP Golden Jubilee. Scooters for the 10 second prize winners. iPhones for the 10 third prize winners. Mountain bikes for the 29 fourth prize winners. From October 1st, 2021 to December 31st, 2022. Remit a minimum of $100 or an equivalent amount in any foreign currency 3 times through NSB U Trust.
Economic news, courtesy of
Saving money isn't easy when you have responsibility. That's why we promise to give you the best returns and guarantee on your investment. LOLC Finance Fixed Deposits. Maximize your savings. LOLC Finance PLC, incorporated on the 13th of December 2001, is rated SLA stable by ICRA Lanka Limited and is licensed by the Monetary Board of the Central Bank of Sri Lanka under the Finance Business Act number 42 of 2011.
In economic news, Korea International Cooperation Agency, KOICA, initiated the remodeling and rehabilitation of workshops for construction courses at 4 selected technical colleges and colleges of technology in Sri Lanka by signing a memorandum of understanding on Thursday at the Department of Technical Education and Training. That was economic news, and the weather report to conclude.
Saving money isn't easy when you have responsibility. That's why we promise to give you the best returns and guarantee on your investment. LOLC Finance Fixed Deposits. Maximize your savings. LOLC Finance PLC, incorporated on the 13th of December 2001, is rated SLA stable by ICRA Lanka Limited and is licensed by the Monetary Board of the Central Bank of Sri Lanka under the Finance Business Act number 42 of 2011.
And finally, the weather report. The Met Department says that showers or thunder showers will occur at times in the western and Sabaragamuwa provinces and in the Kandy, Nuwara Galle and Mathura districts. Several spells of showers will occur in the northwestern province. Showers or thunder showers will occur at a few places in the Uva province and in the Ampara district during the evening or night. And before we conclude this bulletin of news, let's get back to the headlines once again. The Tamil Nadu government provides humanitarian assistance to Sri Lanka. China donates the first consignment of medicinal items valued at $28 million. A ship carrying 2,500 metric tons of gas will arrive in the island tomorrow. Vallavata police commences investigations into the suicide incident of a soldier. And in news overseas, hungry Africans are the victims of the conflict, Macky Sall tells Vladimir Putin. And with that, we conclude this bulletin of news.